Good morning. How is everyone? It's Tuesday. We've got a debate today up in Sandy at Bad Bet Productions. We got the 3rd Congressional District candidates, all of whom are vying to become a congressperson. First and only question I'll be asking is, why are you doing that?
Got to do it again in 2 years.
It sounds awful. But we are hosting that debate. I am moderating that debate today at noon.
Yeah.
But far more important, far more interesting, it's Caitlin Hansen. She's back.
I'm back.
She's back.
It's good to be here.
You've got a new
set.
company. You've got all these cool things going on.
Some cool things.
It's like you come to Silicon Slopes for a little bit and then you just blossom.
This was the launching point here.
This is where people come to launch.
Came and rubbed shoulders with Garrett and Clint, and then look at me now. Right?
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
This is kind of where people launch their careers. It's cool. It's really cool, actually.
Right off into the sunset.
Yeah. What's Mindless Labs?
What is Mindless Labs? It's a lot. At the bedrock of it, it's a community that we're building to foster the growth of mental wellness and mental well-being. There will be a technology launching next year along with a streetwear line, an app. You know, Garrett and I were just talking about it. Some AI, because everything needs AI these days.
Yeah, you need to say that. At the very least, you need to say it.
Hashtag it, so that people are
you
excited
gotta say
about
it
things.
as AI. Whether it does or not actually does not matter.
Oh, really? That's good to know.
Yeah.
I'll take a note of that.
So I would skip the development of that.
That'll save us a lot of money, I think.
Yeah.
Great. Good advice. See what I mean? Always learning from you guys.
See?
You guys really have your finger on the pulse of everything needed to build a great company. So I'll make sure to go back to the team with that. But yeah, it's really exciting. We're launching in the next month or so a free platform, educational platform for mental health before we launch the app and the streetwear line next year. So it's really exciting. There's a lot more to it, but we can talk about whatever you want.
So what does it do? Like, what is the free platform going to do?
So right now it's going to be an educational platform for mental health, mental wellness. We have a board of clinicians and practitioners and life coaches that is helping us fuel this platform with all of their content. It's going to have, Garrett and I actually were just talking about, am I supposed to say that we already talked about all this? Yeah. There's like a slew of the spectrum as to what resonates with people, right? So like if you're my father, an atheist, and you want nothing to do with like woo-woo, whatever, like you have a clinician and a therapist that's going to tell you the science, the research, and this is what you do to heal your anxiety and depression. And on the other end of the spectrum, if you are like talking to the trees and whatever, like crystal loving, and that's great. So we have something for that side of it too. So it'll be a spectrum. It's kind of the educational platform, and the technology that we'll be launching in a year is bridging the gap between like the acute care world of BetterHelp and one-on-one therapy and the mindfulness world, which is calm, headspace, all of that. And it's going to be this disruptive, kind of provocative, like existence in the space that we're excited about.
That's
everything I do is provocative, you know that. So really on brand.
Yeah, it's super provocative.
So it's a bit of a Swiss Army knife, right?
Yeah, that's the idea behind it.
And we were talking a little bit before, everyone needs their own flavor and method. We all have people in our lives that respond differently to different stuff, and you guys will have a good finger on the pulse of all of that. It also takes a little bit of confidence to tell other people what it is, why it is, and how it is. How are you guys curating what you guys are going to throw out to the world? Getting rid of your own biases, making it inclusive, all of that.
So again, I mean, there will be some anecdotal shares from both Chris, my co-founder, and I in our blog space and our educational platform, but with the caveat that we are not professionals in the space, and we'll leave that kind of content up to the professionals. And I think that we will separate ourselves by being really transparent about it, but also by saying, the birth of this came out of Chris's experience, and I can resonate because we've all had our mental health struggles in whatever range that is for each of us. But to say like, we're building this for us kind of, right? Like we're building something that we know we need, that people in our lives need, and we're going to do it the best that we can. And then we're going to share it with the world and say like, hey, you can join us in this journey. So we're doing our best to, create the best content that is out there, and it will have a little piece of us involved in it because we're the ones creating it.
Yeah. And that's good because you're a pretty awesome person.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Interesting insight.
Thanks, Garrett.
You know what I hate? Garrett and I had the same haircut. Every time
What
I
happened there?
It's so stupid. It happened actually at the same time too. So.
Well,
I
I
have
didn't-
an excuse. I don't know why you have that.
What's
same
your
haircut.
excuse? Are you
I
okay?
lost a
He
bet.
lost a
you lost a
bet.
bet. Okay.
I intentionally got this haircut after learning
did-
that it's the haircut you get when you lose a bet.
and why did you intentionally get this haircut?
I don't
That
know.
is a question.
I don't know.
It was-
That's great. You know, I
Pure
didn't even
coincidence.
know what your haircuts were before this because this might be the first time in our history of friendship I've seen either of you without a hat.
Yeah.
But it
Well,
doesn't
we
fit
thought we'd
under
class
the,
it up for you.
You got a
coming in
jacket
today.
on.
Yeah, I put a jacket on.
sport coat.
Yeah.
What sport are you specifically playing in that coat?
Tennis.
Hmm.
I'm a big
Very
tennis
nice.
guy.
Are you
Yeah.
watching the French Open?
Oh yeah,
Ask him if he can name one player.
Djokovic.
Okay.
Okay.
My favorite
Bravo.
player of all
Bravo.
time is Djokovic.
Djokovic.
Djokovic?
This
Djokovic
is just
or
like old
Djokovic?
time's sake. We're talking in circles. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no real point to it.
Love it.
How do you decide which rings to put on each day?
I don't. They just stay on.
They just stay on?
They just stay on.
Oh my
Can you
god.
even believe it?
That's cool.
It's like my souvenirs. My hands are souvenirs around the world, you know?
Yeah. But you have a apparel aspect to Mindless, right?
Yes, there is. There's just going to be like a streetwear portion of it that will be really high quality, like athleisure kind of sweatsuits. You know, that's really trendy
Oh,
right
yeah,
now, like bringing
sure.
sweatsuits into, you know, what we wear in the normal world. I like that trend.
I like it too, actually.
But a piece of that will be supporting the app. So a lot of what we're doing is creating a space for people to give, right? So there's a statistic 1 in 4 Americans struggle from anxiety or depression. And we believe that if we create an app and a technology for that one person, that the other 3 people will show up to help. Because we can all think, whether we struggle or not, right? Garrett, we were talking about this. If you don't resonate necessarily with the mental health, mental illness world, well, you probably know someone that does and would love to either help your partner, your spouse, your children. And so the apparel line is going to create this world where you can not only wear something that speaks to mental health and it's like an outward expression of your support for what, people are struggling with. And also your purchase of that product will donate a subscription to the app is what we're working through right now. The logistics for those that can't afford mental health care, which is a huge problem for getting therapy and those kind of things.
Oh, that's way cool.
Yeah. So you're thinking through all the angles, and this, I don't know if this will be the last nice thing I say about you, but
I mean, you've already surpassed years of nice things in this one conversation.
you have
It was so crazy when he called you a good person.
That
That
was wild.
By the way,
I'm
that-
glad we have that on camera, though.
By the way, that was the end of the sentence. We moved on after he said that.
we
was
were all a
nothing
little
left.
shocked, but we
what?
moved past it.
What?
you have, in my opinion, and I think everybody else would agree, amazing style.
Oh, thank you.
Look at this.
What's happening? I'm
What is
sweating
going
right now.
on?
Whenever we're talking about people with style, you're the North Star because everybody on the team knows you, and you have a history of Silicon Slopes. So that's probably the funnest part of all of this is the apparel and the design and things like that. Are you going to get into the weeds on all of that? Is it going to have
Yeah.
your aesthetics?
It's just going to have a picture of me on everything.
That's sweet.
Also, this represents mental health.
It'll be a headshot. It'll be your headshot and underneath good person.
I think I said
in
awesome.
quotes, Garrett Clark.
Garrett Clark.
5 stars. I do have my hands in that piece of it probably a lot because I really enjoy it. Also in the entrepreneur startup world, you're like the janitor and the president, right? So it's been really fun. We are seeing prototypes already, which is exciting. And I think the biggest part of the apparel line is to create a community to belong to. And that's one of the missions of what we're doing, right? So a lot of the feedback that we've gotten from practitioners and people that work in this space is like that lack of sense of belonging that people want. And that's hard to replicate online, right? The human to human in-person contact is what makes people feel like they really belong and have a sense of community. So the streetwear line, the apparel line will hopefully foster that, and people want to identify as being part of a brand. A lot of what's out there right now in the mental health space doesn't have that element. Like you're using the technology or you're working with a therapist in acute care or doing a mindful meditation, yet where are the other people that are in the community doing the same thing that you're doing and making you feel like you're not alone? Well, digitally, that doesn't work as well. So creating the lifestyle brand around it to be a part of is what a lot of that apparel line is targeting.
Very cool.
That's way cool. What do you think, like, just backing up a little bit in Utah and you being involved in Utah's tech scene, you were at Silicon Slopes, you were at Pelion, you know this community very well. It seems like we're struggling, actually, with mental health right now. What is your sense of that? And can Mindless help with that? Like, what do we do as a community to kind of, like, solve this issue?
Do you think it's unique to Utah?
I don't know. Probably not, right?
Yeah. I mean, that statistic we talked about as far as how many people, and that's like reported people, right? Like we don't have stats on every single person that exists in the US that is struggling with anxiety and depression, but it is a big deal. And I don't know, there's a lot of theories, like maybe it's coming with the rise of technology and AI and we can't keep up and we're not learning to process our emotions at the rate at which technology is progressing. And there's a lot of things feeling left behind, or like we are struggling so much with this and how fast paced and keeping up and social media and a lot of that. So I think that there is a huge role in technology that's impacting our mental health. That's not based in anything aside from my own research and thinking. But how do we help? I mean, hopefully we help by bridging that gap. A lot of what we're solving for with Mindless Labs is, practitioners and clinicians are very overwhelmed, right? So a waiting list, if you want to sign up for therapy, I don't know if either of you tried this, but it's often like 6 months out or months out to actually get in with a therapist.
Really?
So there's a lack of access because of how overloaded the therapists are. And then there's also this huge stigma around mental health care, right? So something is wrong with you. I mean, I look at my parents' generation and it's very much prevalent there, right? If you're getting help from a shrink, as a lot of people call it, something is seriously wrong with you and that's not okay. So I think that's transitioning definitely with the newer generation. There's also a lack of education. That's one of the things Garrett and I were talking about is, it's like, oh, you need to go to a counselor or a therapist. And it's like, okay, that's kind of just like a blanket statement. But there's so many things that fall underneath that, which is like different modalities. Do you want more of like an energy worker, or do you want someone that's doing talk therapy or EMDR or ketamine assisted therapy or ART? And there's all these different practices that you can do and people just don't know. So maybe the education piece will be a pillar that will help in a huge way as well to get people on track. And again, we are bridging that gap between mindfulness and the actual acute care. Once people get to that space, like if you think of a funnel, they're at the bottom of the funnel, like I need help right now. Well, there's a waiting list, or you're checking into some kind of institution to get that acute immediate care, where hopefully we can hit people a little further up the funnel that are like, I'm feeling a little bit off. Mindfulness maybe isn't resonating. I think about me, I always come back to this example. If I'm having like a panic attack or an anxiety attack and I open an app and they're like, take a deep breath, I'm like, I will not swear, but like you want to throw your phone across the room. You're like, that's not helping. So what actual regulating tools and practical modalities can be utilized that are affordable, accessible, you can do on your own? So maybe the stigma is not there that you're going out to get therapy. AI.
Yeah, just saying.
everything.
You should have just
Say
kept
AI.
saying AI over and
Perfect.
over again. That would have been perfect.
Buzzwords.
Like everybody would have, like Blake Monoritsky would have been like, how much money? Blank check.
This is great. Call me.
You're going to be so rich.
Can't wait. And hopefully we're just going to help people, because that's what this chapter of career feels like. Is, first of all, I was telling Garrett before, we did the whole interview before while you were in here. I don't know what you were doing.
What was
shaving your head.
What was this conversation before?
It was great. We're catching up,
Interview. Yeah.
talking about mental
Oh
health.
my
But
gosh.
this chapter definitely feels like, I've found what I love. Like, who knew I was a startup girl? I love it. I love this world, the creative piece, and then also the like passion and impact element of giving back to the community. It's what gets me up in the morning right now. I'm excited about it.
I'm told by people who are in power that we have a shortage of therapists. Is that true?
People that are in power.
Yeah, like elected officials. I won't name any names. Like that's kind of who I hang out with throughout the day.
I'm
Like
just- You're very
rub
important.
shoulders
He's very
with.
important.
That's
and
where you get a
very
haircut
cool.
like that.
If I cut my hair like that, will they hang out with me?
Yeah.
You can say things like people in power.
If I cut my hair like your guys's, sign me up for the Mindless Labs app immediately.
Yeah.
I need help. We will
It's a
have
cry for
problems.
help. It actually is. That's exactly
Is
what it
it?
is from both of us. We're like, how do we signal to the outside world that we need help without saying it?
Blink
It's like, let's
twice
shave
if
our
you're not
heads.
okay.
Let's just shave our heads. And that's how we're going to do it.
Yeah, and then people are like, what's going on? Are you okay? No, clearly not. Look at my head.
Clearly not okay.
Let's just switch the tables here. Are you okay, Gary?
Oh
So
my
good.
gosh. He'll break down. He'll break down within 5 seconds.
Oh, please don't.
I will not.
We
I
have an
am
app for
squared
that.
away.
Just
Yeah.
give me a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I'll have it for you.
No, but I was at an event where we were talking about mental health, and they were saying like, hey, one of the major problems is there is a shortage of therapists, and they were trying to figure out ways to like incentivize people to go into that career, which is kind of interesting, huh?
Yeah, it is interesting.
Because you mentioned like, hey, it takes like 6 months.
That's something that my co-founder actually was. I'll let him. Hopefully, you guys have him on the show sometime because his story is really incredible. He's actually writing a book that will come out next year, paralleling when the app and the clothing line launches. That is tell his experience, but he was triggered in 2017 into psychosis and was the CEO of a health tech company and spent 3 months in mania and a couple of years coming out of this, and wrote a book about it because people kept saying like, what did you learn and how did you get out of this? So by no means is he a clinician or anything, but just sharing his own experience. And that was what he ran into, was like a 6 months waiting list when he was like, I'm in a crisis right now and I need help. So a lot of what we're working with our advisory group of clinicians and life coaches and all these things on is like, how do we bridge this gap? That is, the wait list and the overload of these practitioners. And it's something that they're really excited about, at least the team that we're working with, as far as, this could be a tool that they even give to their clients and say, like, let's go a little further between our sessions so they can get more newer people in the door. And here's an app that can bridge from now until the next time we meet in person.
That's cool. That's actually way cool.
Question for both of you then.
Oh
We've
my
had
gosh.
a fair amount of folks.
I won't take a question until you compliment me.
Yeah, say something nice. You can compliment his hair. It's basically complimenting yourself.
I'm looking.
You're looking. It's only going to be a physical compliment.
Good socks over there.
Great socks. I can't see his socks. That was a lame compliment. All right, bring the question on.
Screen time and social media, like that's come up a lot with folks we've had on. And, it's on front page of various news publications, and a lot of people have compared it to like drug and all sorts of bad stuff, right? Like nothing that we haven't heard before. But then like it seems like everyone just keeps coming back to the trough. I don't have any of that, and I guess that's a good thing. But if somebody spends 8 hours on their phone looking at TikTok or Instagram or those types of things, do you think, I guess question to both of you, that would impact their mental health, like right out of the gate?
I absolutely do. I think that, a lot of the feedback you hear is, especially we saw, what is the movie that came out years ago? Social Network.
Oh yeah, Social Network.
We saw even back then shedding light on the comparison from a young age. And I know many adults that have the same struggles that will like limit their screen time with like an app that limits it, or they will completely delete apps because they find themselves sucked into it. And I don't know how it can't be damaging in a lot of ways. We now have access to what so much more of the world is up to, and comparing ourselves and keeping up with the Joneses. And even like in the dating space, people like, oh, well, there's always something that's going to be better and greater and a better fit or more exciting or another serotonin dopamine hit. And so I think that we're definitely seeking that instant gratification and that instant high from the social media and the online world. It's one of the things we're considering a lot with Mindless Labs, is being very aware of that. Like the goal is not to get you to come onto the app and be on the app for hours on end working on your mental health, because then you go back into the real world and it's like, well, I've been existing in this virtual digital world that isn't actual life. And so the goal is like get you on the app, give you these tools and practices on the app that you can then take off of your phone and implement into your daily life, is to not like add to the problem, which is social media and all these things. So my opinion is it's greatly impacting the world. I also think it comes with a lot of positives. So figuring out how to find a good, healthy balance where you can keep up with where our world is going and also not harm your mental health. What do you think, Clint?
One, I'm confused why I was part of the question.
Because we care about
You
your...
say you watched you gave compliments to TikTok a few weeks ago.
Oh,
Two.
let's hear it.
Yeah, I do like TikTok.
Okay. I just actually got it yesterday.
Really?
Okay, so it's funny. Sorry, sidebar. Are we okay with that? I recorded a podcast in the studio in Lehigh when I was working at Silicon Slopes with London Lazarson. Do you know who that is?
Oh, yeah.
And TikTok phenom. He's got like 9 million TikTok followers. He made me live on the podcast download TikTok in 2021 because I didn't have it. I signed in yesterday for the first time since that. I probably shouldn't have.
Are you going to start doing it?
No, but I'm going to start paying attention to it because I'm building out an app and I need to
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
But it's a lot for me. So
It's actually not good for your mental. To answer your question, is like as I walk the halls of power,
I see where he walks.
how do we give him a microphone? I'm still in charge around here. Okay. As you rub shoulders with
Well,
the rich and famous,
when I was
tell us
talking
more.
to Mark Zuckerberg on stage in 2019 at Summit,
That's not a lie.
we actually did bring this up.
Is that when Clint peaked?
Oh yeah,
Okay, keep going as you were.
I probably peaked in when I was 9 and I won my city league, baseball tournament. I think that's probably the happiest I've ever been. Is 9-year-old Clint like,
Wow.
yeah, we won.
Downhill
All
from there.
downhill.
Yeah, look at me. I have a buzzed head. I think it's very clear.
Somebody signed Clint up
Cry
for some
for help.
softball.
No, it obviously is. Their social media companies will say that it isn't, which was kind of my point with Zuckerberg. I was like, hey, look at all these studies. He's like, we have our own studies that say it doesn't. It obviously does. It's terrible. We're going to look back on it like it's cigarettes. I think.
Yeah.
Is that your stance on TikTok? You
Uh-huh.
said you were complimenting TikTok?
I do like TikTok. TikTok is very cool. If you get your algorithm right, you can spend a lot of time on there.
Is that the goal? Are you trying to set a record?
No, I don't. I try not to do it every day because it's really bad for you. It's like, where did that come from?
Who is talking to us?
I think that was Weston. Or he said smoking is good too.
Yes, that's the thing. Like
Smoking was pretty cool. Like
St-
before we knew
still
how
kind-
bad it was.
still kind of is cool. is
Like
the
just
problem.
think about like the James
Yeah.
Dean,
Oh yeah,
it's kind of cool. Just saying.
it is cool. It's still cool. That's my point. Like,
For the
it's-
record, I am not saying smoking is cool.
by the way,
Just the
smoking
look of
way
it was
cool,
cool.
and good for you
Mm.
compared to social media, which is not cool and not good for you.
Right.
Mm.
So
I'm glad we
there's
arrived
my answer to
at
that.
this answer.
I don't know why I was looped in. That's what you got.
Yeah.
Is that what you're looking for?
It's all I can expect. Just
From us?
Some good advice and then some bad advice.
Great.
Little bookend.
Don't smoke and be
Smoke.
careful with social
Smoke your life
media.
away. Go ahead.
If you're gonna smoke a lot. If you're gonna watch TikTok, do it a lot.
Yeah, if you're gonna smoke cigars. They look
Oh.
even cooler. Winston Churchill.
Okay. Fair.
Pretty
He has a
cool.
fair point.
Yeah. Your time at Pelion gave you some exposure to how the sausage is made with like startups and entrepreneurs raising capital, all of the fun and bad stuff. What did you take from your time there that you're applying to this endeavor?
One of the greatest things about working at Pelion was the exposure to the tech world, for sure. Like seeing the framework and how it is the bedrock of this booming ecosystem in Utah, which is so cool to be a part of and to see develop from the time I was younger until what it is now, and like really having a little bit of a closer look with a magnifying glass as far as the tech companies here. I think that it taught me definitely a lot about, the grit that it takes to be in a startup world. I remember being on the VC side of it and looking at these people coming in and pitching to us, or the new companies we'd invested in and some of the roadblocks and hiccups that they ran into. And it doesn't mean I have all the answers, but a little bit more awareness as far as what is out there. And, one of the most rewarding and challenging things about being in a startup role, in my opinion, is the imposter syndrome, or like realizing how much you don't know. And like I mentioned earlier, like you're the janitor and you're leading the company, you're doing everything in between, and you're learning a lot really fast. And so I think it gave me a really good view as far as, what it all entails, and less is coming as a shock after seeing a lot of that and seeing some companies totally thrive on one thing and others that doesn't work for. So really realizing it takes a lot of grit and a lot of hard work. It was a great experience as far as understanding what Utah is building, seeing a lot of the behind the scenes on a lot of the companies here. And I'm really impressed. Like, Utah is rad. I will continue to say that. There is a lot of exciting stuff happening and a lot of really talented people building really disruptive stuff here.
Yeah. Really quick, back to the apparel.
Back to fashion.
Anytime I'm talking to somebody that's making apparel or has a clothing line, I always ask for a camo onesie.
A camo onesie.
Yeah.
What?
Imagine that, right? Like, when you're a kid, you have onesies, and it doesn't need a trap door in the back, right? Like, but imagine
Thanks
how
for
comfortable.
clarifying.
Yeah. Kind of like a nice sweatsuit, but a onesie.
Okay.
And if you can't do that, can you just have some camo?
Some camo.
Yeah.
Walk me through this. I don't know this side of you. Are you hunting in this? Are you like,
Good.
what kind of camo? Do you want to disappear at work, or do we need to have it be black so that on this black
Yeah, various
background?
patterns would be good.
Okay.
But nobody ever takes me up on it, and I'm just going to keep taking my shots. So
I'm going to direct you to a company called One Piece.
one piece.
They make full zip up. It even zips over your face, actually. And
Perfect.
I'm pretty certain they have camo pattern. I have one. It's like a furry one. Mine's black, but
Nice. So, but that's a no for your
yeah,
apparel line.
that's gonna be a no.
Yeah.
Damn it.
I'm never gonna be invited back.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll like make a one-off for you.
Yeah, just some.
Just Garrett's
Material off to the side.
mental health snuggie. He just zips it up over his face.
He's always sneaking up on us in the office. He's
Yeah.
always like trying to blend in with the background. We're like, we can see you easy. You're not wearing any camo.
I'm
Yeah.
glad we circled back to that.
Yeah.
So, I'm
I
sorry.
have to try.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I will be really interested in like the clothing and the designs you guys come up with, because that's the fun part. You got to be creative.
Yeah, one of the cool things we're doing is we're working with local artists and putting a lot of their work on the clothing, and going to have a lot of it in our digital technology as well. And it's kind of based in building art, right? There will be a lot of spaces and opportunities within the app to create art as a way to express your emotions and work through mental health. And we want to collaborate and make art both in the apparel line, in the app, and bring it all together and kind of like mend together this healer artist world to help combat mental health. So there will be some cool stuff on there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Are you an artist?
Yeah, of course.
Do you want to paint something for our clothing line?
I'd love to.
Okay.
I would love to. Count me in.
Great.
Yeah. I will not sell one, but even I won't buy it. Just to give you a sense. So
What kind of artist are you?
There's my pitch.
Not very good.
There's
I'll
my
take
pitch
that back
for
to
you.
the team.
Have you guys? Oh, look at that. Is that
Something
the,
along those lines.
Look at that One Piece. I told you.
That's exactly what you're asking for right there.
Gosh,
Yeah.
I really, really showed up for you on this one.
You did.
Oh my word.
100 and I can't read that small.
That's $169.
Okay, that's
And
too
it's
much.
shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Oh
Maybe
my
they'll
gosh.
sponsor you.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll sponsor the show.
He can't afford that.
No.
He honestly can't afford that.
No. Like, this is a nonprofit
Take it down.
Emphasis on non.
and profit. Both. But you see, there's a market. Surely it'll sell more than Clint Batts art that you put on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, for sure. Have you raised money?
We have money, yeah. We raised from private investors,
Oh,
so
okay.
not venture backed.
Is the idea like to bootstrap it from now on, or
That's the idea for right now.
yeah,
hmm
yeah? What's that process like for you?
You just like buckle them really tight.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sometimes they have Velcro. You strap them down,
yeah.
get in the trenches. Come to you guys. Garrett, I know, is a wealth fountain over here.
Absolutely.
He's not buying the onesies so that he can invest in Mindless Labs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put me on the cap table.
Oh man. So tell me about Silken Slopes. It's been a minute since I've been in your guys' world.
Yeah.
What exciting new things are happening here? I've kind of been head down in my own project and coming up for air. Update me.
Well, we've got buzz cuts.
Yep.
We've learned.
That's one of the things that has happened. Everything else is the exact same. There's kind of no difference.
That can't be true. You guys are doing
We're
all
actually
sorts of
launching
exciting
something
things.
really cool. I'm very excited about what we're launching within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Is it secret or can you tell us right now?
I don't know. I think I can. I mean, who would decide that? I think I
think
would
you're the
decide
only
that.
one that
Yeah.
would.
So I
me.
think I can talk about it. We're launching like a way to be a member of Silicon Slopes and benefits and all that type of stuff. Like so much of Silicon Slopes has always been around like sponsorship. You got in order to like be a part of it, you got to sponsor us, and it's usually a decent sized check. And I want it to be far more accessible, and so we're about to launch something around those lines, which is very cool.
Yeah.
So
What do you
excited for
get besides a buzz cut?
That's it.
Just a buzz cut.
Yeah, just buzz cut by us, but seriously, that is a community feel. You come in here, we got the buzzers, we'll buzz you, and you're like, you're part of
Okay.
Silicon Slopes now. See you in a couple weeks.
Everyone's gonna have a shaved head.
Yeah.
This is gonna be great.
It's a cult. It's a cult.
I wasn't gonna say it, but here we are.
It's a cult. And then we mix some Kool-Aid at the end. It's really
Yeah.
fun.
Great.
And you can drink it or not.
But exciting things happening with this show,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you're like one of the last of this version of the show. We're about to go to
Because this failed so hard. The show actually just got canceled.
That decision was
while
made
we were
about
live.
halfway in. I was like, yeah, this will be the last one of these. So starting next week, it actually will be just me and Garrett, and we will pre-record these interviews so that we can go deeper with people and stuff. Because we try to like talk about the news sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then like the guest will be like, well, we'll talk about the news.
Yeah.
You have the actual perfect
I
guest
should-
on to talk about the news.
We should have talked about the news. The one person we're like, no, let's not even bring it up.
She wouldn't know anything about that.
I don't
That
know.
feels
how
like
good-
a lifetime ago, though. Now
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm rarely in front of a camera anymore. So thanks for this great opportunity.
Anytime you want to be in front of the camera, we've got you.
Really, just
Yeah.
come standing here
Just-
by
just
myself.
Just come in here.
That is another thing we're doing. Going to have some celebrity hosts on the Silicon Slopes
Yeah.
show and platform.
Who are
Actually,
we
you-
looking at? Like
you.
Brad Pitt? Oh,
You. You're
Seriously.
the
I was
biggest celebrity
hoping
we
you were.
know.
Oh dear, you guys, you're gonna start recruiting. I can give you some names that are still on television. Would that be helpful?
That'd be fun.
That'd
Hey,
be amazing.
thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having
was
me,
so
you
much fun.
guys. Yeah, this has been awesome.
Where do people go to learn more about Mindless and what you're doing?
Mindless Labs. We have all the social media platforms. We've got a website that Garrett mentioned has an astronaut floating in outer space right now. So get excited for the actual website launch. But until then,
That's what I thought we were going to talk about was space exploration.
space. That's what we're actually doing over here.
That's
AI, space,
Space.
just buzzwords. But
Come
Yeah,
back.
stay
Come
tuned.
back when you launch the website.
I thought the show was just canceled because of me. I really get
No.
another invite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring
Standing.
Chris with me,
Yeah, bring Chris.
my co-founder. You'll love him.
As long as it's not Chris Rawl.
Oh, really? That's off limits now, huh?
No.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay. Didn't know.
Yeah.
Sorry. We'll
Yeah.
we'll sidebar after the show about that.
I'm just kidding.
He's on a golf course somewhere.
Oh, perfect.
All right. Great to see you.
You too.
Everybody check out Mindless Labs. Who do we have tomorrow, Garrett?
We have an actual cowboy, Tommy Joe Lucia, who's the executive director of the Utah Days of 47 Rodeo. We're going to talk
Wow.
rodeo.
That's
and
cool.
it is good.
That's fun.
It's really
Okay.
good.
See you, everybody.